Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. Well, quite a nice rack. It's not bingo-y, but there is scoring potential here. And I can play Cooey for 26. And that's not a great rack leave. What would be perhaps better would be Oofy for 20, keeping CES. I think that is better. It does take a number of front hooks, but this is quite a bingo-y three-letter set and is definitely 6 points better than just FS. I am going with this. Well, I draw the Z, which is usually a nice tile to see, but no bingo here. And I may struggle to offload the U with the Z. However, I do have ZE and ZEA on my rack, and Kaz, so I have a number of short Z plays. And right now, the double letter square above the first O of Oofy is available. Well, it's only available for bingos, for plays ending in Z. Neither of my vowels goes above the second O, so I would have Kaz in that spot, and still do. Opponent has provided very little. Now I do have some longer words. Koofy isn't good, so I don't have any front hooks for Oofy. K has really restricted playing options to the right of the board. So I am looking at Kaz with a pretty horrendous rack leave of EEUS. An alternative to that would be C's for 23. Better rack leave. I'm not opening up this row H triple because nothing goes in front of C. And this is 23 points. And that's 45. I'm going with this. Great, that looks a little closer to a bingo. I don't have a 7. I would have Temerus through an R. Do I have anything with the F or C? Not seeing anything with the F. How about either of the C's? Well, I have costume, but that would leave an E on my rack. Wow, 40 points for opponent. That's a nice score. And he's provided no new floaters. And in fact has taken out taken out one of the C's and restricted the other. So what to do here? I could play Sound. Let me see what this scores. 36 points, that's quite nice. Can I do better? And is there a play which hangs on to the S? I still don't have any front hooks for Oofy. I don't have anything apart from the S to go in front of HA. What about a play down from this C? No. Azo only takes an N after it. Sound has the advantage of burning the U. I am inclined to play this sound for 36. Great, that looks quite a nice rack. I have totaler and retotal. So I have retotals and totalers in row A. It's made just to be retotal. Do I have any other bingos? What about the Sea of Kaz? Not seeing anything with that. How about the F? No, not seeing anything there. Now, there are some other floaters in sound. Not seeing anything with the O. What about the U? No, I would have literato through an I. How about the M? Wow, that looks like there could well be something. Well, I may be thinking of Martello, which I don't have the tiles for. Nice bingo by opponent, takes my spot and provides some new floaters. So, do I have a bingo? What about the D? No, not looking good. How about the A? Not seeing anything there. There's the I for literato, but that doesn't fit, and the N is not available. Now, have I made sure there are no 7-letter lanes for retotal and totaler? Azo only takes an N. Lazo is good, so I could have a play ending ALE, but I don't. So coming back to the U and M of sound. The U feels like there could be something here. Rotulate, torulate, not good. Not quite roulette. Can't see anything beginning out. And what suffixes or prefixes would work with the M? No, not seeing anything, and I've only got 1-point tiles, so I'm going to struggle to score here. I'd quite like to open the right-hand side of the board, given that I now trail. Which I could do with oat, keeping quite a good 5-letter set. And I think I will go with this. Well, I would have tree lawn through an E. No E's available. Not seeing anything with the other floaters. The W not a great bingo tile. Oat takes H, S and Y. So where can my W play? WHA is good, so I could play law and war, keeping rent. And that takes a few front hooks, so would be providing a new bingo lane. I trail by 20 and still 60 tiles unseen. I'm wondering if there are any other 8s with this rack. I'm not seeing anything with U or M. How about the O? Not seeing anything. Is my mic shrinking? So, opponent sticks the W hook on Uffy rather, and Hor does not take a W at the front, so that's my law spot taken. what to do here. I'd still like to open the board up some more. I've got an N for going after Azo, but I certainly want to get rid of the W. So I could play Want for 24. That's providing quite a nice spot in row D, but that will in turn provide access to the triple word square for a non-bingo. I'm going with this. Oh, well, can I put an L in here? No, I can't. Let me go back to plan A. I think it's Wandle, not Wantle. And I draw an S, which is good. And Bollers may be good. Not totally sure of that. If it is good, it plays in column 12. Not quite the tiles for doorbells. Still both blanks to come. Now I think Borel is good, but it doesn't take an S. And I'm pretty unconfident of Bollers. So how about the U? Not seeing anything there. Nor through the M. I was just going to say Lob plays, but opponent has played Agi in that spot and now takes a 70-point lead. Let me quickly check Bollers, but I don't think this is good, and it's not. So I have Lob here for 26, keeping quite a good rack leave. Can I do better than that? I don't think so. Boar, not good. I need to get my Scrabble head on today. So Jab is good. I certainly do want to split up the duplicate L. I could play something like Ruble, but that's not scoring very much, and it's wrecking the rack. So anywhere else for Lob? And what about a play across from the M? No, really struggling with this one. I do have, well, I have Bell, but what about playing just Ball, keeping Loser for 18 and creating a new lane in column 2? I'm going with this. And great, I now have Olivers and Violas in column 12. Do I have an alternative bingo on the left-hand side of the board? Great, opponent does not block column 12. Fantastic. I would be slightly despairing if he had blocked that, because no bingo has come to mind on the left-hand side of the board. So let me make some time up here and play Violas for 82. Not bad. No bingo here, but it's a balanced rack and I've got good scoring tiles. But not a huge number of scoring spots on the board. And if opponent plays across from the V, he won't be creating terribly much that's useful for me. I do have Tithe and Tithed on my rack, but nowhere for them. Oats doesn't take anything. So I lead by 20. which is good. I think I've had some good battles with this opponent before, and he's pretty good. Wow, that's slightly ominous. Just 10 points for opponent. Is he keeping a 5-tile powerhouse, or just blocking my use of this V? H and T go in front of OE, but that doesn't work with the V. So where can I play my scoring tiles? H and Y. 10 minutes on my clock. Well, I could play Hay, keeping duplicate T and duplicate E, which isn't great, but scoring okay. I have the H for Hadji, but I can't then do anything else. What about a play through this O? So I have TH, well, I have though. The Y is a good scoring tile. It's only 17 points. Let me put this back. What about a play through this U? Nothing obvious coming to mind. Well, what about this? Duty. Keeping the H is far preferable to keeping the Y. I'm splitting up duplicate T, and this rat leave overall is okay. I'm going with this. Pretty horrible. It doesn't feel like I've got a ton of candidate plays here. Wow, nice score by opponent. So just 2 points between us. How can I sort this rack out? 8 minutes on my clock. I do have an E for going after axe, but I don't have any plays at all in row C. I certainly want to play off one of the Gs. How can I do that? What do I have through this E? Just GE really, which is 8 points. Absolutely dismal. What am I missing? I think it's just a super tight board. All the actions happening in the top of the board. And there are just very limited scoring spots. Two S's and 2 blanks to come. And only 33 tiles, so I'd quite like to play off a lot of tiles. I'm just wondering about doing this. Quite a good rack leave. Only an A and a U go in front of the G. It's 11 points. Quite a few tiles go after the G, but again, it's just vowels. I'm quite tempted to do this. We're neck and neck. What about playing Egger even longer? Just to increase my chances of drawing a blank. Well, I may regret this. Let's find out. Wow, I regret it. No vowels at all. But there is the E of violas to play through, and I have drawn an S. So I could play help, keeping GNST, and if I'm fortunate in drawing a couple of vowels, I could be very close to a bingo. If opponent bingos alongside Egger, he's likely to be creating a ton of floaters, and then help is going to create more bingo lanes. So we could have quite a volatile final quarter of this game. 6 minutes on my clock, that's not very much. So my plan is help. What is plan B? Well, I do have help in row I. I am completely dependent on using vowels on the board, although I do have NTH on my rack. Not seeing anywhere for that. So, is opponent sitting there with a blank on his rack? He could well be. But his most likely bingo is starting in row I, which will be creating a 9-timer. However, with my rack, I'm certainly not going to be able to bingo back. So opponent could be hesitating about opening a 9-timer, but then benefiting from that opening himself. Wow, and he just plays if. Fantastic. This is pretty good. So, well, now, let me think. Do I play help? This isn't the best possible 4-letter rack leave, and there is an S and 2 blanks out there. Would I be better off doing this? That really stymies opponent's opportunity to bingo, which I'd quite like. I've got the S for hooking OE and for hooking help, and I'm stopping opponent from scoring well off this triple word square. Egger also takes an S and a Y. I'm going with this. Just the one vowel. And I'm not sure I have a bingo through another vowel. Now, if I play peg, I'll be keeping runts, which is not a bad 5-letter set. Obviously, the U's not a great vowel, but I don't have any others, and any vowel is better than none. My U can go between the G and the H, but I'm looking to play off a couple of consonants as well. 5 minutes on my clock, 10 on opponents, and just 3 points between us. I do have sprung, burning 6 tiles, and I could play that off Egger or off, just to increase my chances of drawing one of these blanks. And I could play sprung and helps. That would actually be a decent score as well. In the high 20s. Again, opponent taking a while with his play. And his last move was if for 24, again suggesting he may be keeping some pretty good tiles if he didn't have a blank. Maybe he would have played off more tiles with a view to drawing one. I'm just considering this rack plus a vowel in case opponent provides a floater. I'm not seeing a bingo with an A or an E. I would have spurting. How about an O or a U? No, so it's just spurting, just an I floater in the right spot that I'd need. I am coming round to playing sprung, because what's the alternative? Just something pretty lame through this E. Probably keeping the U unless I play Tegu. Great! Opponent plays off just one tile. which suggests even more that he's close to a bingo. But this is what I'm thinking of, sprung for 28. It's quite a decent score. Now, this does provide a lot of floaters, which could be jolly useful for opponent. So the alternative would be to play sprung and eggers, not providing floaters. It does provide a bingo lane, but it's not a massively useful one. I think I prefer this. I'm not actually behind yet, so I don't want to gift opponent just the floater that he needs, and sprung provided quite a few useful ones, and it also provided the U next to this double word square, and there's still the Q to come. Can I dodge it? Yes, I can. Fantastic. I draw a blank. That has worked absolutely to plan. So, do I have a bingo beginning with an S? I do. I have Stalest, so that plays in column 14 and row J. Do I have a bingo hooking the G? Well, that wouldn't begin with any tile I've got. It would have to be the blank, which would be an O, I, or U. So what bingos are there with the blank as an I? Not seeing one. How about an O? No, disappointing. Wow, there goes opponent with a bingo. But it's not the end of the world. He only leads by 45. He may well have drawn a completely drecky final rack. Or I may be about to do so. So only 4 minutes on my clock. Where are my best lanes? Ironies takes a T, so I could bingo in column 14, but that's going to open the triple word squares in column 15. I'd rather not do that. So the alternative is row M, hooking GI, and the furthest I can go across would be ending TER. So I have Slatter for 72. Wow, pretty good. It's not drecky. Opponent could have Q, V, and B, but he could also have the U to go with his Q. And he's likely to, since there are only 2 tiles in the bag. But if the Q is amongst them, opponent may play off just 1 tile. So it may be in my interests to be mindful for Caddy and Cade and Chi spots on the board. Just 3 minutes on my clock. So where are the K spots? Strange board this. It doesn't seem to have provided an awful lot of opportunities at any stage, apart from bingo lanes. Now, my lead is just 27 points, which is slender. Yes, I have Oak. I thought for a minute I needed a U for Auk, but I have Oak. Opponent has played Merv for 18. And I can see his final rack. Well, he's not going out with that. So he does have the Q with the U. So he has quasi in column 13. Wow, I don't have long to plan this endgame. And I was contemplating Oak here. Does this survive quasi? I would then have Ind anywhere for it. I lead by 9. This would be 40. I'd lead by 50. Quasi. If I could play Ind for sure, I would survive quasi. And I don't think I do have a spot for Ind. Let me take this back. So how to block quasi? Just 2 minutes on my clock. What to do? I quite like to keep back A and K. Wow, this is tricky. 1 minute on my clock. I can do this. I can play Rain, which takes a K, which threatens Dank and re-ink. Only 1 minute on my clock. I'm keeping AK back for Oak. I don't think this provides any opponent with anything apart from Quasi for a much lower score. I am going with this. Is it going to be enough? 1 minute on my clock, 7 on opponents. I lead by 20. I'm threatening Dank and re-ink. If that doesn't score enough, I've got Oak for 40. Do I have a higher scoring out than Dank? I don't have an out through the E. What else is available? Have I overlooked a huge Q spot for opponent? Need is good and naked, but neither works with the E of violas. Great. Opponent plays 1 minute on my clock. Opponent plays Quasi for 23. I do have Dank and re-ink, and I think that's going to be enough. I trail by 2, but this is 19. Bang! It is enough. Fantastic. And the final score, 396 for me, 423. Let me get that right. 396 for my opponent, 423 for me, a winning margin of 27 points. So a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, that was something else, that endgame. Absolutely intense. I've got a lot of respect for my opponent, so there was absolutely nothing that I was taking for granted there. Now, it was me to go first. And, wow, Youth's quite nice for 30, but burning the S. So I play Oofy for 20, and I like that. Opponent's rack, no bingo, plays K. Wow, cuz, what did I do? Wow, that's painful. Cuz so much better than Kaz, and I should have seen it, but I didn't. Opponent's rack plays Had, which he wouldn't have been able to play if I'd played Cuz. No bingo here, and Sound was my play. Great bingo by opponent, and a good spot. And now I trail by 33. I've got a bingo on my rack, but I couldn't find a playable one. And there was none. So I play Oat for 10. A9. Daintiest is good. So I could have played Total. That is really nice for 27 points. Instead, I play Oat, keeping later. So I drop 17 points. Is later 17 points better than ER? It is not. It is a better rack leave, but ER must be worth about 4 or 5, I would say. And later, maybe as much as 10 or 12, but certainly not 17 points better. Opponent's rack plays Whore. And now Antler E4. Ah, very nice. This is where I tried Wantle and it came off, but a similar idea with Antler. So I play Want for 24. Yeah, despite keeping the W, I think Antler is better. Now, opponent, not a great rack. Plays Adji. And what did I do? What did I do here? I played just ball, and I could have played baller, but that opens up this triple word square in the middle lane. So I prefer my play horrible rack for opponent. He plays emu, and this is where my luck changes, and I sneak into the lead with violas. But look at this, opponent has drawn the blank. No bingo, but he plays OE, so look at this, my fears were that my fear was that he was keeping a powerhouse, and he was keeping jolly close to a powerhouse, slightly vowel heavy, but he does have the blank. Now, my rack, and I struggled here. I don't recognise any of those plays. Duty, that was my play. 424, keeping yeah, that's pretty much on a par with the other candidate plays. Now, opponent's rack. Oh, bingo, he must have been close to one. But he does get 39 points and retains the blank. So just 2 points between us. This is my rack, and it's pretty horrible. And I play Egger, F2, and I still like that. 3 more points, keeping double G, not nice. F7, Azoth, and Azoth does take an S, so that will be opening up a 7-lane S spot. I prefer my play, but it is volatile. Fortunately, opponent doesn't have a bingo, plays if. I trail by 7 and have no vowels. F1. Help and jap, while keeping 5 consonants, not good. I play help for 10, dampening down some of the volatility created by Egger, and I still like that. And for good reason. Look at this, jolly good rack for opponent. And he has a bingo, which he misses. Spoonia, H4 from the P, or does he choose not to play it? No, I think he misses it. I think if he'd seen it, he would have played it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be taking a 63-point sacrifice. Now, my rack. And I play sprung, and I like that. Opponent does now have a bingo with ironies, and I come straight back with slatter for 72. Just 1 more point available. But that would be in column 14, where I didn't want to play. Now, I was hoping opponent had drawn Drek, and he has. V, U, and B. Pretty grim. So he plays Merv, and now this is it, the end game. I lead by 9, and opponent is threatening Quasi. And this is what I considered, but couldn't see a winning sequence. Oak, followed by Quasi, but then what do I do with Ind? And I couldn't see somewhere to play that. So what I did do was play Rain for 12, blocking Quasi and creating an out spot in column 15. So opponent does play Quasi, but let me click Tell Examiner 1 best to see if opponent has a winning play. And I don't think he does. Yeah, Quasi is best, but it doesn't win. And finally, Dank is the only out for 19. So, what a game. Absolutely epic. And we were just neck and neck from the first move to the last. So, totally intense game. And my clock had gone down to about 2 minutes when I had this end game to consider, and I'm really pleased with the word Rain. It did absolutely what it needed to do, and if I hadn't played that, I really don't know what alternative play I would have made. So absolutely fantastic stuff. Many thanks to my opponent for a great battle. I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.